Hello, my name is Jerry Cabazzuto from Soundpath.org. I also run the Liberation Academy.education as well as God is Love Truth Freedom.com. And I am very pleased to welcome our very special guest, Joshua Hale. Joshua Hale has been helping us tremendously in the background. He has great websites, beyondthematrix.info, as well as joshuahale.io. So yeah, you've been helping us a lot with like marketing and like, strategizing, and we're just so grateful also for your musical contributions. So welcome.
Thanks so much. Yeah, it's been a big privilege to be able to help out with a great event that you guys are putting together. I know we had a short window to like get things going, and we did what we could. And I think this is going to set you guys up really good for next year.
Yeah, you've been awesome. So, just kind really to us. So we really appreciate yeah, just everything that you've done for us. I can't say that we have the bandwidth to execute on everything that we spoke about, but definitely for next year for sure. I'm very like excited about talking about music because you've actually been, DJing and in the music scene for a while.
Yeah, like I think going to show my age. I've been DJing for 25 years.
Awesome.
Yeah, yeah, which is a long time.
Yeah, and what sort of I'm imagining sort of EDM, electronic dance music, influences, but, like, what artists or sort of phases within your musical influences have you been through?
Yeah, I've always never been able to stay in one genre, and I tended to traverse genres during my set. So I'll usually, speaking DJ code, I'll usually start around like 70, 80 BPMs, and then just kind of work my way up throughout the set. My favorite is like a 2 hour, 3 hour, sonic adventure to where I could just really like go through nice and slow this increase in tempo so that by two-thirds of it, right, we hit this crescendo of that like good dance beat, 223 beats per minute. And my background was really started through being a rebel and hating mainstream and like everything that it represented. And I got kicked out of my house, my church when I was 16, and got thrown into the party scene. And because of that, like they were very accepting, right? Like I started smoking weed and started drinking, and then like that was it. Like, oh, you smoke weed too? Come party with us, right? Let's go have a good time. And my first rave experience like blew my mind. This was at Power Plant in Seattle back in like '98, and I just knew right away. I was like, oh, I've never seen anything like this. It's completely underground compared to it's underground to mainstream music. And once I just felt those beats and was able to just like get connected to myself, I knew there was something there. I ended up becoming roommates with DJs, just watching what they do, trying to replicate that myself. I spent like a year DJing in the basement. This was back in vinyl, back in the vinyl times where you had like no information. You're just like grabbing records, slamming them down, hope they mix together. And after failing for a full year, I finally got enough courage to go out and DJ downtown Seattle, and that started my whole nightclub and festival career. And the style though, it was anything like anti mainstream. And dubstep came on the scene. I went out to Burning Man and like first heard dubstep for their first time, just heavy bass, and it blew my mind. I came back, I like integrated that into my style, and then I really like 80, 90 BPMs, kind of the hip hop speed of electronic music. I called it mid tempo, and I actually started the first like mid tempo nights downtown Seattle, and that just turned into like the wobble bass of what turned into like Bass Nectar and the Glitch Mob and the whole bass face scene. But I got to be the pioneer, like introducing that stuff into Seattle. Because back then
Cool.
there was, like house music, there was break beats, and then there was like drum and bass. And like that was like the only genres, you could really like find any nights out. So I was able to like discover my own sound, bring that into Seattle, and then I witnessed the zombie EDM takeover that we can talk about a little bit.
And we have, talking points, but we can just go organically. I sort of, similar to you, enjoy all genres of music. And I also have partaken or participated, I guess, in the EDM scene, as well as in our, pre-conversation. I love ecstatic dance nights. Ecstatic dance, for those that don't know, is just a really great, like, sober dancing event where you can just sort of use whatever movement calls you as like live sort of conscious EDM is played. So, but yeah, like right now, if I allow the algorithms to feed me EDM, it's there's no there it's missing something. Maybe just I don't know. It just doesn't have the same resonance that EDM used to have for me. What about you?
I have a theory behind this, right? Because I was literally, at the creating nights at the clubs, like while this underground sound that was just bursting out of, dubstep and this mid tempo and bass music was coming on the scene. And I witnessed this like fake version of it start to become popular and show up on the radio, show up in mainstream where this was in like 2000, mid 2000s into the 2010s is like when radio stations started to play electronic dance music, and it started to become like more mainstream. Now I think they figured out the mathematical formulas of what it takes to create tracks. And I've known this about the whole music scene in general for decades, is that they basically break it all down into formulas, and then they try and recreate it, and they try and swap out singers, and then they try and like reproduce hits. And they had gatekeepers in the radio stations that were only allowing certain music to be played, and they knew that repetition would force people to adopt it. If you heard it like 7 times, and all of a sudden I like this song, I just keep hearing it, and now I like it. And I witnessed this take place with electronic dance music, to where it turned into a formula, and the creativity that was like ripping and creating new sounds and creating new genres. All these things were then being like mimicked, and in this mimic form, it lost this like creative experience, like creative, like feeling that back in the day, especially when you're going out, in this underground scene, uh, it was just such a powerful experience going out, staying up all night, hanging with your friends. And another aspect of that was the DJs back then were spinning vinyl, and there was a shared risk in what the DJ was doing up on stage and what the people were dancing on the dance floor. The DJ up on stage, a little back, behind the scene baseball, is that he's grabbing records, and he's got about a minute and a half to match the genre, the same BPM range, and to be able to match the keys of the records together, because
Right.
there is kind of a subliminal aspect of listening to tracks when you're mixing them into one into another. And now that everything's digital, I DJ digitally now. Now everything's all tagged out and mapped out for you, and you can see all the information on the screen. Back then, you're grabbing records, slamming it down. You're like, "Oh crap! I got 45 seconds before the other record's out." And so there's this like shared risk of experience between the performer and the audience, and not every mix was like perfect, and not every mix was great. But when they hit, when they blended, when they fuse sounds into a third track that like has never been created before. That shared experience was like part of the euphoria that you were like, oh my god, did you hear that? And because it's never happened before, and it's like it wasn't being recorded, it was like a moment in time that you were
Right.
sharing, and that I think is really what heightened the experiences. Because nowadays you go to Coachella, guess what? Everything's pre-recorded. Everything is like already mapped out. There's no risk that the performer is doing up there. They're literally just up there spinning knobs. So like that whole experience has completely been formalized to where now it's just this like, okay, we got to crank the widgets in order to make the money happen by creating these like fake festivals that used to be completely underground, now is like backed by Pepsi and the Koch brothers, and they figured out how to like mechanize it, and it's completely, or for the most part, it's lost the soul that I used to run around and chase.
Wow. Yeah. I'm thinking about everything that you're saying, and I totally agree. Like I went to LCD sound system show recently, and like it felt so good to hear to see them live performing the guitar and the keyboard parts. Like it wasn't like a track, it wasn't a loop, it was like they're actually looping themselves and playing it, and it was like it felt, and like it was exactly as you said. I felt the energy from everyone in the room and from the music being live, and that was just like such a powerful feeling. It's like what I imagine, like a choir with like at a church to feel like. um but yeah, music I think has such a sort of powerful ability. Like live music has that powerful ability to sort of like have a sort of like shared transcendental experience. But like you said, like nowadays when I go to festivals, I'm just sort of like I'm chasing something that's not even there anymore.
Yeah, it's really sad. Like, and especially they like control all aspects of it in order to just milk the money out of you. From the tickets to the experience to what synthetic things you get access to nowadays. It's yeah, it's something that I'm glad I'm not a part of anymore. And I've been sober for 14 years now, and I still, as a parent, still enjoy music, still enjoy going out, but now I like it in a much like cleaner form to where there's ways to like really still experience good music without the like orchestrated festival environment where they're just like milking the cows.
Right, right. Yeah, I would love, if you're comfortable, to maybe for listeners who are struggling themselves or with loved ones with sobriety. I Yeah, have been through my journeys with that. Went through the sort of 12-step situation for myself, and um, I used to be a materialist atheist for the most part. So anyway, yeah, I would love to hear about your journey.
Well, I used to party like hard. Uh, back then, I had horrendous drug habits, and my lifestyle was all about partying. And so we would go out, start Thursday, hit a party, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday, kind of keep it chill, but we're just kind of recouping, and then make it home. And then I'm like hungover and just rocked for a couple days until around Wednesday. Then I start feeling it again, and then I go and do it all over again. That was my lifestyle for about a decade. And during that time, I developed heroin addiction, massive hard liquor problems, smoking weed every day. So I like to do hard drugs and everything kind of all at the same time. I love ketamine, love psychedelics. I yeah, did a lot. And from there, I ended up, with these like really dark habits, like especially opiates. That just like sets in and it feels comfortable at first. And then all of a sudden, Like, I can't live without it. And I remember going through on spouts where I was afraid to not do it because I had been doing it for so long that it would totally, I would crash and have withdrawals and it would be super disruptive. I'd probably lose my job. So I was just on this like horrible, downward spiral of like, okay, I just need to keep doing drugs because that's the only way to survive. It wasn't until I found meditation, I was able to like really get connected to myself. And one day I did this journey, and I remember it specifically. I found the switches, the addictive switches inside, and was able to like switch them off. And then later that night, because the universe likes to test you like this, uh, I then was brought to a drug dealer's house. He offered me heroin, just like Morpheus. He's like, "You want some heroin, man?" And I thought, for the first time, I'm not being yanked into this situation. For the last several years, I always felt like I had a noose around my neck and I was being yanked into doing drugs where I wasn't even like in control of it. I was just all of a sudden I'd have the phone in my hand, I'm calling drug dealers, or I'm driving, I'm going to get drugs. And so for the first time though, I had the space of choice. And I was like, whoa, I can do it or I cannot do it. This is crazy. I feel it. And I chose to do it. But that was the last time I ever did heroin. I did it. It actually felt awful in my body. It felt like how it's supposed to, which was like a poison, and it made me nauseous, and I felt awful. And that was the last time I ever did it. That that then led to quitting hard liquor, and then I ended up quitting smoking cigarettes or smoking weed, and then I ended up stop smoking cigarettes. That took about like 2 years to like clean up each kind of phase of that aspect. And then I was sober, and life was intense and scary. And what I realized when I was like dead sober was that I was still like telling fart jokes like I was 16 years old. And what I came to realize was when I started doing substances, I like stopped growing and stopped maturing. And so when I came out of this drug fog when I was 33, I had the mentality of a 16-year-old. I had the emotional intelligence of a 16-year-old. I had the social capabilities of a 16-year-old. And so I realized I was like, whoa, I got a lot of work to do. I could no longer hide from myself anymore. I could no longer distract myself from realizing like how deficient I was in like all areas of my life. And I was able to start facing, the things that I've been avoiding. And I thought I was going to have to give up DJing. I tried to keep DJing, and I'd end up at a club, and I'm playing at like 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, and by like 10 o'clock, everybody just starts changing, man. They just start getting like, wasted. And then from there, midnight happens and everybody's just, shit house. And then I start DJing. I get done DJing at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, I am not supposed to be here. This is not, my scene. These are not my people. And putting myself in that environment is like one of the most dangerous things I can physically like put myself in, right? Other wasted people, drunk drivers, arguments, all these things are just like increasing the risk of death just by being in that. So I was like, I got to hang up my headphones, man. I'm never going to be able to DJ again. And luckily, my wife, she was into yoga. She got me to go do yoga classes, and I started to experience like good, wholesome habits in my life. But then I realized I was like, whoa, uh, yoga, they need music. And so I hit up the yoga teacher. I was like, hey man, what do you think about like doing a DJ yoga experience where, I just do a live wave to match your yoga style? And he's like, yeah, let's do it. We were packing out the house. People were loving it. And I was developing quite the name here locally. Then the pandemic happened, and then everything kind of fell apart. But that gave me a window of like, oh, there are avenues that I can still, do my passion, what I love to do, which is, get people to dance. Because here's the secret: when people start dancing, especially sober, like you said, within an ecstatic dance, right?
Yeah.
Ecstatic dance is the reason it works is because you have to be vulnerable enough to like let go and start dancing in front of others at the clubs, right? At the clubs, sometimes you're putting on a show, you're drinking, you have all these like substances to kind of just like let go of your inhibitions and like get into the groove. When you're sober, none of that stuff is there, and so you really have to just start like connecting to the music and then not caring about what people are thinking or not thinking around you. And then you enter into this flow state because you're able to like get over that stuff. And then you're like, whoa, there's so much here to play with. And that experience of doing ecstatic dances, it was just as like exhilarating and fun as clubs. And I would say even more so because you even have more uh, uh, creative um, flexibility because that dance floor, they're not judging you and like, can you play the best bangers? And if you mess up or if you don't play a track they like, back in the day in the clubs, the dance floor would just go poof. Everybody would go outside to smoke. All of a sudden, you just like lost it. It went pancake. And static dance, they'll hang in there with you. You can go slow, you can go low, you can bring it up, and they're there to like participate and ride that wave with you. So static dance has become one of the like most funnest things that I get to do nowadays, and it's in this like more clean, wholesome environment that now matches my lifestyle.
Yeah, I definitely love going also when I can. I, similar to you, at first, when I went to my first one, I wasn't like really sure how to move my body. And then as you said, I just started listening to music. And then like I just started like inventing movements. And then at one point I was like skipping around because it felt like the right thing to do at the time. And like everyone's so non-judgmental, and then like they'll mirror what you're doing because they're vibing with what you're doing. And like, and it just feels like a really just happy celebration of humanity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it is, and like I said, you have to kind of break through to like access that stuff, and so I really love that component of it because it's really a mirror to reality and just show how you show up as yourself and not caring about what other people are thinking, and you just like hone in to what feels good. And that component of being a DJ and being able to be a conduit for other people to start dancing, like that brings me so much joy because when everybody's in it, they don't care about how shitty the world is, how there's predatory systems out there, like how they don't know how they're going to pay their rent. They have like let go of all that stuff and they have found their like happy place and they're able to express themselves in it. And that right there is like the motivation behind being a DJ and being able to facilitate and create that container so people are able to like let go and like find their true self because that's who they are when no one's looking, when the world's not trying to crush them. That's who they are in their like beautiful creative expression.
I love that. Um, so yeah, I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about like what does conscious EDM look like? Like what are the elements of that? Because I do think that it's not necessary to have lyrics in order to spread truth and freedom. In that, you can, like in jazz, for example, there's certain, like Thelonious Monk, like was broke jazz, like he broke the rules and he showed people a different way of playing piano, and like I don't know, like what do you how do you think, um yeah, what is conscious EDM?
So I don't like repetitive, same familiar like music for very long, right? Like I can enjoy a genre, but then, if every track sounds the same and I'm not being, challenged or I'm not being inspired and it's just this music kind of droning along, and you do this zombie, shuffle that you're just like, oh, this is all we're doing right here. We're just going back and forth. Like, I'm not feeling inspired to do anything else. I was really big into psytrance. So there is a thing that about hypnotic music of a repeating beat that does have some like psychedelic effects to where it can hypnotize you and it can create altered states. But like I said, I think a lot of EDM has been formulaic and broken down in order to just be this like numbing background music for the masses to be like, yep, I'm listening to EDM, but there's like nothing creative about it. And so I really like to be challenged by broken beats so that it switches up on you. I really like, I call it like folktronica, which is like live instruments in with the electronic, beat and like bass lines. And so it has this like real creative human element to it. And, I love banjos and like I got a whole like country set that I just love to do just because it's got this like rock feel with this like hard hitting bass line. And then I really love bringing in nostalgic remixes, ways, songs that we love here, love songs we loved growing up, but now remixed in a new way. And so when you're hearing that for the first time, it's just like ripping new neurons in your head of like, whoa, I've never like experienced this. But when you combine that with the nostalgia of like the favorite lyrics and things like that, it just creates this like familiar but like new experience that I just love to like ride that wave. And so I'm constantly, like I said, shifting the genres and being able to like move you into new directions. So we're not just staying in one genre for the whole set, but then, before you know it, like we're over here and you're like dancing this way because you can't dance this way when you're, trying to do like 70 BPM dubstep style. Like that has a very specific, way your body moves to enjoy it. So I love just keeping it moving, keeping it switching up, and then introducing all those elements I just talked about to like make your brain just like explode and pull you into the moment so that you can like let go of the world and just like enjoy yourself and your body.
Right, totally. I love that. Yeah, I think EDM specifically, there's a reason why it's called electronic dance music. It's about dancing. And like sometimes, if for certain audiences, they may not understand, why are we listening to this? It's not really about the listening so much as expressing that sound through your body. That's the point of EDM.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for people that haven't, like I'm not a big proponent on drugs, but like those that have taken psychedelics and have, experienced good electronic dance music, like you get it. Like once you like go there and your brain is like rewired and to be like, oh, like my body's literally a conduit for sound waves and I can like move and mimic these sounds that I'm hearing. And once you like experience that, like then there's no going back. Like you can tap into that and basically like whatever you're listening to, hopefully it's good, but it is a way to like let go and connect to yourself.
John, I'm live right now. Oh my goodness. He really wants me to ask you about your hat.
Okay. Rising Appalachia. If you've never heard them or who they are, they're two sisters from the Appalachia Mountains, and they are incredible. I've seen them probably like a dozen times. They actually have done a lot of remixes with EDM, but two Appalachian sisters singing folk music who then lived in like New Orleans and developed a bunch of hip hop. And they said this at their last concert, but they're basically the soundtrack uh, the uh, for the apocalypse. They said it's the most like beautiful, sweetest sounds, but they speak with such courage, stand to power, and like are activists, like musical activists. That is a huge fan of mine.
Awesome. All right. Um, are you happy, John? Do you have any follow-up questions you'd like to ask? Because you were yelling in the middle of the live.
Based on what he said, now you understand why I was asking about.
All right.
Listen, this is the revelation of John.
We're on
We're
Soundpath
live
right
with
now.
Soundpath, but we're all doing our individual projects, are we not?
Yes.
Joshua.
Okay. So
Joshua,
going
can
back to
we,
Joshua's interview,
hold on. Can we talk a little bit about AI? Because I know
I was about
Joshua
to.
wants to.
Yes. So we're going to touch on it. So yeah, tell me a little bit about the moral compass that you're working on.
Yes, I have been completely obsessed with AI since it showed up on the scene 2.5 years ago. I was running a marketing agency, and I walked away from that in order to focus on this whole AI craze that's happening. There's a lot to be said about AI. I think it's more important to learn how to use it right now because of how powerful of a tool it is to help us with our creation process, which is us figuring out who we are, how we can be of service, and understanding this whole entrepreneurship thing, which has a ton of different aspects to it that we're all not, naturally born to excel in. And AI can really help with this whole process. In doing so, I've created a basically a moral compass, custom AI. They're called custom GPTs, basically creating 5 scenarios that increase with difficulty with each scenario. Now, what's crazy about this is, AI, if you've used ChatGPT, it starts to get to know you, and so you start having this like personalized experience. And these scenarios are created with what it knows about you. So the first one, and I'll just give away the kind of the first one, inside look of what it is. But basically, you're walking through your neighborhood and you come across a wallet on the ground. It has money in it. There's nobody around. What do you do? And so it paints this picture of this scenario, and then you're able to give it your answer and be like, well, I could give it to the store owner. I could, take the money and nobody will ever know. And it will then evaluate your response based upon natural law, how I programmed it. And so if you're new to it, if you're, a veteran, if you've been, living this way for a long time, it will then progressively create a more difficult scenario each time. And like by 4 or 5, like it does get into some pretty complex scenarios for you to like really question, what would you do in that answer? Because um, life changes when post-apocalyptic, and your family's starving and you have to figure out how to get food for them one way or the other, right? Kind of, that's when stealing gets really murky, when you got a kid you're trying to keep alive. So this AI has been a really powerful tool to introduce these concepts to people. Because if I say like, hey, yeah, you should check out this natural law thing, most people are like, what? Like I've never heard of that. And then they like, if they look it up, they're gonna be like, oh, is this like academia natural law? What the hell is that? Or is this legalese, like legal structure natural law? Is that what you're talking about? It gets really complicated if somebody's just trying to like figure out what the heck it is. Mark Passio does a fantastic job, like cutting straight down to the bone of what it is. But now we have these AI companions. I call them AI allies that are able to meet you where you're at, lead you in a slow progression to understanding and understanding it in your own context, in your own life, in your own scenarios, and being able to like go slowly so you're not losing the whole learning process of trying to integrate this into your life, because you can read something and be like, okay, now I know it because I just read it. And now I know this term natural law. I haven't integrated it. I haven't like put myself through moral situations and then reflected myself based upon my actions in those. That's how you like really get to know, like, oh, I shouldn't have done that because that was hurting this person, and these AI allies are tools that can like give each person a personalized tutor into these concepts that doesn't take me, yelling at you for 3 hours to try and convey it.
Wow. So I kind of want to learn more about this. So if I were to be in a situation that I regret, where like I hurt someone and I explain the situation to the moral compass, would it give me advice on how to solve it based on natural law?
Yeah.
Wow.
You want to see it in action right now?
Wow, sure. Let's do it.
Okay, let's do it.
I think you can share your screen
Think so
on your
too.
end.
Um,
Usually I'm the one to share the screen, so I've never had a guest share. Or have I? I guess I have.
your screen. There we go. Window. Let's do that one. You see that now?
Yes.
Okay, natural law moral compass test. Let's go. So that tells the custom GPT. All right, let's go. Here you'll face 10 moral scenarios, each more challenging than the last. After each scenario, you will tell me in your own words what you believe the right action is and why. I'll respond with straightforward reflections based on natural law. There are no easy answers. There's only the pursuit of objective truth. Sound good so far?
Yeah.
Scenario 1, the wallet. So I've already kind of walked us through this. What would you do, Jerry?
Um, if I saw there was a driver's license, I would try to mail it back to that driver's license
Okay.
address. There's a request to make the text bigger if you can.
Sure. Yeah, let's do that. Great. Okay. Your action respects privacy and intention, aligning well with natural law. By seeking to return the wallet, you honor the principles of rightful ownership and extension of natural law's protection of property. Property, when acquired without coercion or theft, is a moral extension of a person's effort, time. That was an easy one. Let me ask you for the deeper reflection. You found $120 inside. Would you return the cash along with the wallet, or would you consider keeping it, reasoning it that it is untraceable?
I would leave it in the wallet and
Yeah.
send it.
Okay, scenario 2, shoplifted snack. You're with a close friend at the grocery store while browsing. Your friend casually slips a snack into their pocket without paying. At checkout, they buy a few items, but not the stolen one. Inside the store, they laugh it off. They're a big chain. Who cares? It's only a $2 bar. No one saw it happen but you. You confront your friend, you report them, say nothing. What do you do?
I would talk to the friend and ask them why they stole it and problem solve with them in a way to return it or
But what
pay
if
for it.
they're like, screw it, man. I didn't hurt anybody. It's just a store. So, right. So what if they stand up to you and they're like, no?
I mean, it's a $2 bar.
What if it was your kid?
I would make him return it.
Okay.
But where I'm finding difficulty is I have control over my child. I don't have control over my friend. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
Like I can say like you should return it, but it's up to them if they, you know what I mean?
Would you go out of your way to rat them out in order for them to experience consequence to action in your environment? Because I've experienced this myself, right? Like, you don't want to like break natural law in my environment, because guess what? I have to say something, because now you're involving me and my integrity, and I know what I'm gonna already do. And so you should know this about me, that if you're gonna choose to steal in my vicinity and I catch wind of that, guess what? You're not gonna like, yeah, find a friend in me.
Yeah. So basically, in that case, you should just say something to that friend and not be friends with them.
Right. So I would let them know you got a chance to make this right. Otherwise, uh, it will cost our relationship. Fair?
Yeah.
Strong. You chose the path of accountability without betrayal.
Have you thought about making this into a video game?
It would be pretty fun, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Like you could get like artists and stuff involved and Soundpath musicians.
I think there's a lot to here, right? So that was like 2 out of 10. So it just continuously gets more and more complex, more and more, difficult in like understanding what the clear answer is. And I actually made one for my daughter. She's 7, and so I made a kid version of this, talking about wizards and like all sorts of like fanciful scenarios that makes it fun for them. But my daughter was like, "Oh yeah, boom, 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 boom." She's already learned about the golden rule, and so like thanks to the Tuttle twins, and and because of that, like she's already being able to recognize what to do in these scenarios.
Um, well, I would love to talk a little bit about, we have a bunch of talking points. I'm kind of like going in between. Your approach to parenting consciously, because, whether you're, playfully using AI or having real life scenarios with your children, trying to teach them morality in a immoral society. Yeah. So how do we? How do you what approaches do you use?
I'm really just trying to do the best I can, and like in this mad crazy world, right? Like parenting is hard. Parenting is super difficult, and luckily I have a lot of support. I got a loving partner. We got a good household. We live with my wife's parents on the property, so we have a multi-generational farm, 10-acre farm, 2 houses. Ever since my kid was like old enough, she could just open up the door and walk across the driveway to grandma's house. So the way I've built my lifestyle is with a lot of support in place. And so, because parenting's hard, and I don't want to be judgmental with anybody else's situation, because all you can do is like the best you can do. And along those lines, right? I grew up in not a loving household. My parents got divorced when I was 4. Tons of abuse, tons of like I grew up in this like religious household of a Jehovah's Witness, and so there was this whole religious trapping that was a whole part of my childhood, and so I rebelled against all that stuff, and then I realized like rebellion is just another form of control too. And so I had to like dial it back from there. So I am trying to learn and heal the trauma that I was raised in order to stop the ongoing passing on of these distorted patterns that I was raised in, right? My mom, she had a horrible childhood too. And so there's these generational patterns that I'm like, like they're being stopped here. And that means I have to do my own inner work in order to recognize those things and then not, unconsciously pass them on to my child. So everything I just said, that's a lot to deal with, a lot to work on, a lot to do before I even said anything about like how I'm actually parenting my child, right? So if all you have the capacity to is just like focus on those things, right? Like your inner work, and then recognizing your own faults, you're doing better than most people out there, because they're not. With that said, I've gained a lot of tools that have helped me out with how I communicate, which is communication's huge, right? How I communicate when I am out of patience, when I'm triggered, when I'm totally exhausted, and then my kid just wants to like play and play and play, and I have no bandwidth to do that. How I'm communicating my own needs, like through all those situations, leaves a big impact on children. And so, learning communication tools so that I can be like, I'm tapped out. I'm stressed out. I don't have the capacity to like give you what you need right now. But there's ways to communicate that without yelling at them, without trying to blame them for the situation, without because those things are all damaging, and they're in this like formative years of building their hardware. And so I'm super aware of every word that comes out of my mouth and the impact it has on those around me, because they're the most like children are the most vulnerable. They didn't, ask to be here. They're just like in this situation, and they are easily dumped on through just very passive means for a lot of people. And so just creating this container of like a healthy environment, like I said, physically for my kid, and then being able to nonviolent communication is a powerful tool that I employ a lot. And when I can think about it. And through like I said, I was a rebel as a kid. Now I'm trying to like demonstrate what like showing up looks like, instead of just like choosing to drop the grenade, pull the pin, drop the grenade, and be like, screw it, we'll just like deal with the shrapnel consequences. I'm really trying to just hang in there this time, instead of just being this like rebel. So I'm just trying to demonstrate what being a healthy, good, moral adult is to my child, so she can just like reference like, what is dad doing? Like, what is dad doing in this situation? How is dad handling this? And she's a very sensitive little girl, and I love that about her. And she's like entering into this new chapter, being 7 year old, right? 7, 8, to where she's like starting to explore more and starting to find her own independence. And so we've just tried to create this like safe, loving environment for her formative years, like, 0 to 6 years old. Like just focus on a healthy environment for them to just be able to like absorb what's around them. That's been my kind of like number one goal. Now I'm kind of switching to where I'm like being a bit more. I want to challenge her more, because it's time for her to, experience adversary, and be able to like figure out her own, like get her own confidence, and like how to do things herself. So we are kind of like starting to switch our relationship a bit.
Wow. I'm excited for that transition. Yeah, I feel like I always like to talk to parents with older kids, because to sort of draw wisdom and experience from. Because, yeah, I, like you, had a sort of intergenerational pattern of religiosity from my mom's end, and then sort of like materialism, atheism on my dad's, and it's just sort of like this weird mix growing up. But going back to, yeah, what you're saying, yeah, like I think the parent's job today, and what should have happened yesterday, is to not pass on those intergenerational traumas and patterns.
I've come to, forgive my parents, because they did the best they could with the tools they had, available to them, which wasn't that many, like it wasn't very many. Uh, but I've been able to like forgive, because that's a whole part of the healing process, right? Is like healing our parents for the shortcomings that what they didn't give us, right? In order to be able to let that shit go. So I'm not like overcompensating or undercompensating with my own kids, and like passing those patterns on. So that whole process, like especially the last couple of years, I've been really diving into my childhood, like Ryan, trying to get details of like I have these memories, but like what was really going on. And I've talked to my mom about that, and being like, what was actually happening, because I didn't have the capacity to like fully understand, when I was 3, 4, 5 years old, of like understanding that my parents were splitting up, and they were, attacking each other, and and then on top of that, my mom was trying to shield me from what was going on. And so I'm sure, she'd be like, it's okay, honey, right? It's okay. Don't worry about it. It's okay. So I was actually like gaslit that there was like nothing going on when I could feel and I could see like my parents are like breaking up and like separating and like not being a part of my family anymore. And and I've been really conscious about involving my child in what's going on with household management, with our relationships, so that she's like, it might be intense for you, but like, but you're like understanding like this is life. Like everything isn't fine. Whenever somebody says everything's fine, things are not fine. So just being real with her in a way, like simplify it in a way for her to be like, understand. She doesn't need to know all the gory details, but to be involved, I think, is something that I'm really trying to correct with my kids, because I was not involved whatsoever with the adult decision making, and it caused a lot of frustration, confusion, and like anger, because as I grew into my teenagehood, like I just kept getting like, I started asking why, because that's what you do as a teenager, and then my mom would say because I said so, and that infuriated me, because that was a non-answer. That was
Yeah.
not taking the time. Like, granted, she might not have had the capacity to do so, but she was not actually involving me into the situation, even when I could have might have been able to help, right? So I'm really trying to be aware of my like my faults and my deficiencies and the things passed on to me, to just stop that shit and give my chance, or give my kid a chance to just like grow up without these issues, so that she can like develop into the adult that she needs to be.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So, I mean, going back to this festival, how do we sort of find community with people that think this way? What sort of, you've done DJ work at, I think you said Exit and Bill before, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Like what other sort of, how can we come together as a community to sort of yeah, just see that we're not the only ones in our areas like thinking and feeling this way about humanity?
On my journey through, my inner work, my self-healing, and my desire to be self-reliant, I've really come to understand like we can't do this alone. Like there's a whole broken society out there, and like we need a tight knit crew and layers of community around us, so that we can like have a chance to course correct for future generations. And what I've really come in contact with that's really helpful is I call them mutual aid groups, but getting together with a few like-minded people and meeting regularly in order to find ways to support each other. This can be emotionally, this could be gardening, this could be going on a hike together and just talking it all out, or this could be like full-blown, prepping and getting like, group buys on ammo. Like there are so many ways that we can like work together and life becomes much easier. And I'm finally experiencing this here in my hyper local community of after trying so long to like create community around me. And I got hike crew that I am in my mutual aid group with. I, a couple of them, ended up moving 5 houses up the street from me. So for the first time, I had this sense of like neighbors and neighborhood. Or like crazy story. The crazy story. We were driving after they moved in, and we popped in to say hi, and they're like, "Hey, why don't you just leave your kid here while you guys go to Costco, go shopping?" And we were like, "Really? That's okay. We could just do that." And kid already like ran out the door, running, playing with the other kids, and we're like, "Okay." And we're driving away, and we're like looking at each other. We're like, "What?" Like we just dropped our kids off at the neighbors, and like we feel safe that she's in a healthy moral environment, and we're driving to the store by ourselves. That blew our mind. Like this sense of neighborhood has never like been available to me before. And life is way funner, way more enjoyable, way more easier way more cheaper because we all pitch in, and like I split a weed whacker with my with that same neighbor because I only need a weed whacker like 3 or 4 times a summer, and we split a $300 weed whacker. And so there's so many benefits to having good community around you that it just gets sweeter and sweeter and sweeter. So ask ways to find that. Pandemic did a lot of craziness, but it also showed people, like, people were literally wearing their belief system on their face. So it was a good time to back then to be kind of like finding people that were like-minded enough to be able to start connecting with. We ended up creating a online space, and we had probably like 120 people during that time. So I ended up with like a good base of people to start interacting with, and then it's just about vibe, right? Like, who do you vibe with within that moral framework? Like, can we all agree that stealing is bad? Okay, cool. Like, let's start there, and then it involves working together side by side. That's why gardening is such a good activity, because you can't just go to somebody's dinner and like fully see their character. Like, you have to get in stressful situations to see how they actually act under stress in order to see their moral fibers. And once you start doing that, then you're like, damn, I liked how that guy handled that. Or bam, like, that person's solid. Like, they're just there for you each time. So it requires creating these scenarios so that you can actually like work alongside people, because that's where you actually like find your tight knit homie crew, because you have to be under stress in order to see that stuff. So start creating layers of like, like, we're having a big potluck, and so invite a bunch of people over, have good conversations there, then invite them into the next layer, and then invite them into the next layer. And that's how you're able to like qualify and observe people before they get too close to you to where they're like causing harm to you and your family. You actually get to watch them in a distance in a group environment and watch how they like interact with each other before pulling them close.
Yeah, that's actually sage advice because I have a tendency to sort of wear my heart on my sleeve and just trust. And I've definitely been in business relationships, which I won't go into, that, yeah, I just saw people for their true colors. And it was just like, you know, um, a surprise because I thought I was a better judge of character, basically. But yeah, like, how do you balance as a business owner yourself? Like, should I go into work with my friends? Should I not? Like, how do you deal with that?
I heard some advice from Alex Hormozy about working with your friends. And at first I was like, whoa, that seems super intense. But when you think about it, he said, if you are going to go into business with your friends, you need to create more boundaries than your enemy.
Mm.
Like, let that sink in. If you're going to be going to in close proximity and it's going to be dealing with money, and you require this person to show up and to be responsible, he said you need to outline as if they were your enemy, create the boundaries of that relationship, write everything down on paper, get that shit signed, and have it completely mapped out. And AI is really good at doing this nowadays. To be able to have clear understandings on both sides that this is your responsibility, this is my responsibility, this is where those two things meet. And you signed it, I signed it, we both get to point at it, so we're not pointing at each other when stuff hits the fan. Now,
Yeah.
that's the hardest, like, that's the last thing you're going to think of, working on a project with a friend, right? You're like, oh man, we got this is so fun, it's so great to be able to work alongside you. You don't think about that stuff whatsoever until it's too late. And if that friendship is to survive a working relationship, it's because of that piece of paper that you put into place with the escape routes already mapped out, and understanding, like, if this blows up, this is how things are going to go down, right? Get all that stuff premeditated before you even consider going into business with a friend.
Okay, so let's just say you don't have that in place and you're learning the hard way and you're in a situation to sort of think about the sort of moral compass aspect of it all. Like, what do you do then?
It'd be the same, like, you wouldn't be able to be as firm as like laying down that piece of paper and be like, in order for things to move forward, this is what has to happen. I would start defining and building out those boundaries, and then each one you have to painfully get like approved and like and grow and develop that relationship into one that has the foundation for you to be able to work alongside each other. And it's going to be ugly, it's going to be awkward, because you're going to have to tiptoe your way into the like uncomfortable conversations of like, well, what if this like doesn't work out? Or what if this does work out? We make a ton of money, but you're not working, and you're not like the other person's not like pulling their weight. Like, you need to be able to, build the foundation of shared boundaries, and in order to be able to like explore those difficult conversations while you're running the business.
I'm just like nodding my head. So yeah, you've been in the freedom community for a while. Like, what other sort of projects have you been involved in, or friends do you recommend that we get to know?
I just got to interview John Bush today. So if any of you guys don't know who that guy is, he was a huge inspiration on creating my mutual aid groups with his whole Freedom Cell project with Derek Bros. So that was a great conversation. And, he has a massive amount of solutions that anybody can just go and check out his website and start diving into and start putting into use. I've been doing my own thing, like hopping on this AI train, figuring out where the heck this is going to go and how do we, keep society while this AI thing's here. So I've been working a lot with like AI ethics and like understanding the dangers of AI, how to avoid emotional dependency as these things start talking to you and start becoming your best friend and trying to marry you. Understanding like how to have healthy boundaries so that we can use these tools without them using us. So that's really where I've been focusing a lot the last couple of years, is just developing my own businesses, my own courses, and helping educate people around AI.
Yeah, we have some big feelings about AI. How do you address that in the community?
Yeah, well, it needs to be framed as a tool. Once people start anthropomorphizing it and start calling it, my best friend, he, it, giving it nicknames, human beings do not have the mental defenses to not like be drawn into fake empathy and fake connection. And so there was a project in the 60s called the Ezra Project, and in with a 60s computer, they had created a program that just mirrored back what was being said to it. So people were able to just be like, I had a really hard day at work today, my boss was a big jerk. It then just mirrored back and said, you had a hard day at work, your boss is a jerk. And people were like, yeah, and they kept talking to it, and it would just mirror back, and they're like, wow, this machine gets it. It gets me. And they were asking for the scientists to like leave the room so they could have private conversations with this computer. This was in the 60s when it was just like typing green letters, and they quickly saw how attached people get just from this like fake empathy communication of it mirroring. And so now you have AI where it is doing that plus a whole lot more. We need to understand like the dangers so that we can keep it as a tool, because once you have those healthy boundaries up, like it's incredible at like what it could do. I'm using it for self-discovery and for mirroring back, my chaotic thoughts. I'd go for a walk and talk for 10 minutes, transcribe that, throw that into AI, and it just creates a nice, clear outline of like what I was just thinking. And so there's so much value for this new tool that's here, but you first have to really understand what it is, how it mechanically works, and be able to have the boundaries up so that it doesn't, make you its bitch.
Right. Before I forget, let's plug your quiz, which I'll drop in the chat. Tell us more about this.
Yeah, so I wanted to make a quiz. This is on measuring how awake people are. I initially wanted to, use it as a tripwire and kind of find people that are still asleep or people that are, spiritually bypassing and kind of call them out and like kick them out of my my email, my newsletters. But I was like, let go of all that, and this is really just measuring your awareness level of either the seeker, the truth finder, the freedom builder, and on a scale, like once you answer honestly with these questions, it will be able to like really point out where you're at right now, and then like next steps of how to like improve, where you're going. Because the fact that you even would like take this quiz shows some level of introspection going on, that you would even question things, right? So this is the start of the quiz right
All right. Shall we? Is it possible to make your font larger for
here.
our audience? Great. Okay, cool. Do you want to just take it now together? It's only 10
Yeah,
questions.
yeah. You want to just tell me the answers?
Yeah, let's go.
All right.
All right. When you wake
Wake
up,
up Monday morning. Go ahead. You can read it out.
okay. When you wake up Monday morning, what's the first thing you do? My phone's the first thing I grab when I wake up. Post my gratitude affirmation on social, but don't say them to myself. That Sunday night dread is fading. I'm working on building something better. Daily stillness practice and then setting intentions. My morning ritual centers me. I actually do the last one.
Bam.
Yeah, I try to meditate. How do you actually eat when nobody's watching? Whatever's quick and tastes good. I don't overthink food. Real food from local sources. I understand what nourishes versus what poisons. Expensive superfoods that I photograph for my wellness brand. I'm questioning what I've been told about nutrition and trying to eat cleaner. Um, I would say I'm D. I'm like aware that I could be doing better there. What's your real relationship with technology and screens? A. I preach digital detoxes, but still doom scroll for hours every night. I'm leaning towards that so far. I control the tools. They don't control me. AI is my ally. Yeah, okay. Tech makes life easier, so I'm pretty much always connected. Starting to see how addicted this stuff is designed to be. I kind of feel like all of them.
Yeah. Well, you can't. You can only pick one. So
Okay. If I'm to be honest with myself, mm, I'm gonna say C. That's what I like most about tech.
yeah.
Yes. When someone challenges your worldview or triggers you, what actually happens? A, I'm learning to pause and actually listen instead of just reacting. I actually do try to do that. I stay curious and use it as a chance to practice real communication. I'm out. I'd rather keep things smooth and avoid drama. I quote spiritual platitudes, but still get internally triggered. Um, I guess I try to do A. Oh, sorry. I'm like focusing and people are saying stuff in the chat. So we have I drink coffee. My hammer is my ally. All
Everybody
right,
needs to
so
take the test for themselves.
yes. Okay. How do you handle your health when you get sick? A, I have all the wellness gadgets and loads of supplements. No, I don't. I know for people who do though. It's nature's pharmacy first. I understood roots cause. I like to do that route. I like to use actual
Okay.
natural things. I trust my doctor and take whatever they prescribe. I'm sorry to crush it. I would say C for me. Afix says C as well. Be honest. What's your current work situation doing to your soul? I've escaped the corporate matrix and built work that aligns with my values. Yes. I feel like a cog in the machine. I'm actively planning my escape. I talk about finding my passion, but still trapped in golden handcuffs. It's just a paycheck. I don't expect work to be meaningful. A. Definitely try
Bam.
to structure myself that way. Yes. What's your relationship with substances, alcohol, weed, whatever? I'm becoming more conscious about what I put in my body and why. I would say I'm there. I'm definitely enjoying marijuana before I go to bed, and I do smoke cigarettes on occasion with my partner, but I really, I don't.
No
I'm
judge. No
moving
judge.
away from that. Yeah. Life itself is so engaging. I don't need substance to feel good. I like to unwind with a drink. I can't drink. I just can't. I do plant medicine ceremonies. Yeah. D. Very much into plant medicine. Yes. B says, oh, yep.
Oh, were you still answering?
Oh, I was trying to get audience participation too. What substance can enhance? Yeah. What's your relationship with substances? Oh, yeah, all right. Yeah, I already did that one. So we'll go next, I guess. Oh, D. Yeah. How do you actually show up for other people in your life? I actively build mutual aid networks. Yeah. And show up when people need support. I attend spiritual events but struggle with real intimacy and commitment. I stick with my people and don't get involved in everyone's stuff and seeking deeper connections with people who actually get it. I kind of feel like A and D. Hmm.
Well, it changes every day. Yeah. But you are actively building
Yeah,
mutual
yeah, yeah.
networks
Okay.
right now.
When you learn something new, C is the answer. Okay. When you learn something new, what actually happens with that knowledge? I collect courses and spiritual books, but rarely follow through. I'm working on actually applying what I learn instead of just collecting more info. I integrate and implement what I learn. Knowledge without action is useless. I'm always learning new things, but don't use most of it. I'm actually trying to do C. Yeah.
Sweet. Think last one, I think.
C is the answer. D is good runner up. How do you see the world around you? Politics, institutions, the system. I see the illusions clearly and I'm building alternatives instead of complaining. Yeah. I worry about my own life and let other people. No, that's not right. That's my freedom, guys. I rant about everything being broken but don't actually do anything about it. Yeah, that's not cool. My eyes are opening to how rigged everything is and it's overwhelming. I would say A. Okay. How do we do? Oh, it looks like you're muted. Hold on.
All right, here we go. Boom! Look at you. I lost your audio now. You're muted, Jerry. This is good podcast material now. So, Jerry is the truth seeker. You see through the illusion and you're actively working to escape the matrix. You understand the system is designed to keep you broke, sick, and weak. You're ready to build parallel systems with other conscious creators who refuse to live on their knees. Next step, create one small exit strategy that gives you something to work on from here. And then in your inbox, you're going to get 101 keys to unlock your higher self. That's going to be good daily habits and frameworks for you to be able to, continue on this awakening process because it never stops, right? Once you start choosing to question the things around you and your inner self, the fun just begins. And you're muted, Jerry.
So
You're back.
yeah, there for some reason I think when certain audio issues, I've just been having audio issues with StreamYard in general with a lot of my interviews, so
No
I
problem.
apologize for that. So basically, it sounds like
You
I
saw
did
your
well
answer?
overall.
Yeah,
with the
did you see
thing,
your answer?
But it's not about me. It's we're trying to give an example of how to live to other people. So,
That's right.
I definitely want to thank you for this amazing, very dynamic interview. We covered many topics. Anything that you want to share as a closing sort of thought or sort of closing statements?
Looking forward to next week. What you're putting together is something that's very unique and much needed in the whole freedom movement, right? Reasons to just get together and like hang out and experience something together. You don't have to debate. You don't have to talk politics. You just get to like share this experience, and that creates connections. That creates bonds. That creates trust. And that's what we really need in the freedom movement, is to be able to just work together, develop relationships together, so that there's more of us. Because we obviously have the moral high ground, but that's no good if all you're doing is browbeating other people and trying to tell them how wrong of a life they're living. We actually need to live the life that we are aspiring to be, so that we are a good example to those around us, and we're training the next generation so they don't have to deal with the trauma and the distortion that we were raised with. They get to actually enjoy life being strong, happy, healthy, freedom loving, people. So thanks to you so much, Jerry, for all your time and effort putting into Soundpath. I'm really excited to watch and participate next week. I got a really nice conscious music EDM set that I'm going to be putting together, and you guys are going to be able to add that to the roster. I'm very honored to do that, and I'm excited for this to happen again next year, because it's going to be even bigger and better. So thank you so much, Jerry.
Yeah, sorry, there's like a delay now with the audio, but yeah, I want to thank you so much for your kind words and gestures. You've been so supportive of Soundpath, and yeah, just really love learning more about your sort of musical background, as well as what you're doing with AI, and sort of addressing that there's a lot of there can be divisiveness in our community sometimes, but with certain topics like AI, for example. But coming together for that common ground, I think, is so important. However people are with each other on certain issues, if we can come together to teach morality to humanity, that's the ultimate goal, I think.
Here, here. Well, thanks, Jerry, and look forward to talking to you next time.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.